You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
Yeah, we want to prepare them for life. That's a huge role as a coach. The great thing with coaching is getting those relationships and keeping them. That's probably the best part.
The council is now in session.
With a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Sports Council. I'm Jamie Council. It was a windy one today, so have my hat on. And it's also November, which means it's playoff football time. That's right. We're talking playoffs, and a lot of our teams in our area involved, and some of them high hopes. Of course, every team has high hopes. So let's see how the teams in our area stack up, as well as we'll hear from one of the best small school dynasties in the country. That's not me saying it. It's Max Prep saying it. So we'll hear from them later in the show. But first, let's see what playoff football looks like for teams in our area. So starting in the RPI, we'll start with the 1B. Of course, 1B gets overlooked a lot just because they are a small school, do play with less men on the field, but a very exciting game. And Liberty Christian out of Richland has been atop the RPI all season long, and they are in action at Fran Risch Stadium. That is this Friday, November 8th. And they're playing host to Mary Walker. So that matchup between Liberty Christian and Mary Walker, here we go, is at 5 o'clock, kickoff at 5 o'clock at Fran Risch Stadium. So moving on in the RPI, let's move on to the 2B, and Tri-Cities Prep sat atop their conference this year. So some movement that we see, that Columbia Burbank has had a very powerful program, now Tri-Cities Prep. So that's a fun battle that we see between the Coyotes and Tri-Cities Prep. So Prep ranks 7th, and currently Burbank ranks 16th in RPI in 2B. So let's move on. Let's go to 2A, and this is the one that kind of throws me for a loop. So some teams in our area are in action. So there's a lot of undefeated teams. There's a couple classification that has a few undefeated teams. The top 3 in Tumwater currently ranked number 1 in the RPI. In 2A, Franklin Pierce and West Valley out of Spokane. And then Othello is at 10 and Prosser 21. And then Toppenish ranked 28th. And that is very interesting just because Toppenish is moving into the 2A classification, moving up from 1A. So it will take a little bit of getting used to, but it's always fun when those moves are made. So let's take a look at the 2A matchups this week. Othello will be playing host to Rogers out of Spokane. That is Saturday, kickoff set for 2 o'clock. And Toppenish will head to Ording to play as well. East Valley out of Yakima will be headed to North Kitsap. And then Stella Coombe will be at Prosser. So multiple teams in our area in action this weekend in 2A district football. Moving on, let's go to the 3A, and a lot of undefeated teams. The top 3 undefeated in Bellevue, O'Day, and Decatur. And also Mercer Island at 9-0. They're 7th in the RPI. And Kennewick did fall a bit. Of course, the MCC is a tough league because you have teams that are in 4A and 3A, and Kennewick did drop a second game, which moves them to 6-2 overall. So they are the top seed in the MCC in 3A, but fall to 19th in the RPI. But of course, RPI doesn't mean anything, as we have mentioned. So Kennewick will be playing host to Peninsula on Friday. Other teams in action, we have Southridge at Enumclaw, and 3A is underway. Mount Spokane at Mount Tahoma, even though it's not technically Tri-Cities, but on this side of the Cascades. Now, moving on to 4A, as we take a look at the RPI, Camas has been sitting atop that, and we talk about teams that are undefeated. Camas is undefeated. Sumner is undefeated. Moses Lake is undefeated. Gonzaga Prep is undefeated. Chiawana is undefeated, and Kennedy Catholic is also undefeated. So there will be a lot of firsts, and for some of these teams, it will be a one and out as we get deeper into state play out of district. So very interesting at the 4A level. Of course, Chiawana undefeated, MCC champions once again, and quite a few teams, of course, in action as we go to the 4A district playoffs. Stadium will be playing Camas again. Camas is the team to beat this year. And then we talked about teams getting mixed up in a different classification. Yelm is now a 4A school. So they used to be a 3A, won a state championship at 3A. Now they are a 4A school, and Yelm will be who Richland is playing. And that game is Friday, kickoff at 7 o'clock from Yelm High School. Kamiakin had a play-in game on Tuesday, beating Lewis and Clark at home 48-13, which means that they will move on to district play, playing Moses Lake in Moses Lake on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So Kamiakin had to play an extra game, but their season is still alive. They play Moses Lake this Saturday at 1 o'clock at Lions Field. Gonzaga Prep will be hosting Woodinville. Eastmont will be at Meade at Union Stadium. And Sunnyside will head to Chiawana, Riverhawks, and the Grizzlies. Kickoff November 8th at 6 o'clock for Chiawana. So we talked about small school dynasties, and you can't talk about small school dynasties in the state of Washington without talking about Royal. So in the 1A, Royal is the 4th seed, but they are sitting 9-0. Seton Catholic also 9-0, number 1 in the RPI. But there was a Max Preps article where Royal was ranked 8th in all schools across the United States. They have the top winning percentage in the country, and they are in action this weekend, playing host to Kalahauya. Royal, they are looking for yet another state title, and I headed out to Royal to talk to Wiley Allred and a couple of the players. We'll hear from them after the break. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
With Thanksgiving season upon us, Krispy Kreme is thankful for our customers. Right now, we're featuring our Thanksgiving pie donuts. Come grab a dozen for your holiday feast. While in store, let us know what you're thankful for and receive a glazed donut for free. And we're still taking fundraising orders, so get yours in now at your local Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail Street in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
Inconveniences can happen at, well, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, wine, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
Lance Allred, I'm a senior and quarterback and middle linebacker.
Santana Luna, I'm a senior and I'm a running back and outside linebacker.
So how would you say the season is going so far? It seems pretty successful. What's the feeling around Royal right now?
I'd say pretty good, but it's just started for us, so a lot more to go.
I say the same thing. Like, everybody looks at our history, but we don't really look at that. We just look at it's a new season, so everybody has a chance to go get that ring again. We're gonna go get it again.
And that's the same question that will lead it into next. I've asked this of Coach Allred of how do you be able to reset after a season where complacency kind of, oh, well, we're good, but it seems like Royal kind of hits that reset button so well. How do you guys do that within the program?
Good coaches kind of instilled a good mentality, so kind of give them the credit on that one.
And what have you guys worked on most this season where you don't really know the team that you're going to have come in, well, this year, December, when you start in August or before. So what has the progression of this team been like? What have you guys most improved on from when you started for this season?
I don't know if we have anything big. I think we've all just kind of, as a team and personally, just worked on things that we know we need to work on, and so that we can make it as far as we can go this season. So I don't know if there's anything specific that I have an answer for.
Yeah, I said the same thing. We came in together at the beginning of the season as the same objective, just to go win. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah, and what about for you guys personally? What have you most worked on in your personal growth on the football field this year?
I'd say just keep trying to be comfortable, quarterback-wise in the pocket and stuff like that. So, and yeah, just confidence coming in this season every year. It's a little bit different. So.
Yeah, it was different for you where you were at receiver and then stepped into that role, and then it's been yours ever since. So what was that switch like to be able to step in there? A learning curve, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a learning curve, but I had what I think best coaches in the state, and then I had a brother who was quarterback before me, so I was able to learn a lot from them and ask questions whenever I needed. So it was a smooth transition as far as where I needed help and stuff like that.
And then same question for you, just about your progression this year.
I'd say just trust my teammates a little bit more and getting them more involved. When I'm not scoring the ball, just celebrating when they're scoring, just giving them a chance to show what they can do.
Yeah, and not being able to rest on your laurels is something that Royal is good at. But how does it feel just seeing all these state football championships, not just during your time, but also in your brother's time, or stepping back? What does it mean to you to be a part of Royal football?
Super blessed because everyone that's up there still comes to games and comes supports, and so it gives a fun environment as well as their knowledge is passed down to us. Super blessed to be able to gain from them.
So what is going to be next for you guys? Not overlooking the next few weeks for you guys, but what is next in your career as a student, as an athlete, or just as a person?
I'm hoping to go to college for a year first, hopefully, if I can find somewhere to play football, and then serve a mission for my church. So
I'm looking to play some more football in college, and just whatever comes my way, I'm just gonna take it.
Okay, so you don't know where that is yet? Okay, so this is your final time to get some looks. And over the next few weeks, in your mind, what does it take? Because it's one thing to have the talent, and then it's another thing to put it all together. So what, in your guys' eyes, what are you guys going to need as a program to get to that final stretch?
I think just stay hungry. Don't get complacent every week. Don't look over anybody because everybody's here for a reason. So anyone can take you out.
Yeah, and earlier I asked you guys what was next for you guys, but if it's not football, I guess what are you going to major in, or what do you want to be when you grow up?
I've thought a little bit. I mean, I live on a family farm right now, so I thought about coming back to that as well as becoming a lawyer. So one of those two, maybe a little bit of both. That's the goal.
I would say I want to be a sheriff. So my brother's a sheriff, so it just looks pretty easy, and I just want to do that.
My brother's a sheriff too. Where's he a sheriff at?
He's sheriff in Shoreline, Washington.
Okay, so over on the west side. Well, thank you guys so much for your time, and best of luck.
Thank you.
We just heard from Royal football players. When we come back, we'll hear from Coach Allred himself. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
With Thanksgiving season upon us, Krispy Kreme is thankful for our customers. Right now, we're featuring our Thanksgiving pie donuts. Come grab a dozen for your holiday feast. While in store, let us know what you're thankful for and receive a glazed donut for free. And we're still taking fundraising orders, so get yours in now at your local Krispy Kreme, 2805 Dupertail Street in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
Wiley Allred, head football coach at Royal.
Every time we talk, it's always inclement weather. I think it was freezing the last time we were both shaking, and now we're both about to blow away.
Yeah, well, this is hopefully the one day this week.
Let's always have plans. Like I was saying before this, we'll have to make sure to do this interview earlier in the season next year. But with that being said, the point in the season that you're at, you're just about to begin postseason play. What have you seen from this team? I know that you talk about defining moments of teams that you coach for. Now in your 26th year, so you kind of know what to expect. What have you seen from this year's squad?
A lot of good senior leadership. They've got a lot of seniors. I think we've got 16, and they've, I think nearly all of them play integral role in what we're doing. So they've been around, a lot of them have played a lot of ball, and they've just been rising up to every big moment that's been come their way this year so far.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the team leaders on this. I mean, obviously we see the stats, we hear some of the name, everybody knows Lance, but I guess just walk me through some of the leaders on this year's team.
Yeah, some of the guys on the inside that are, doing a lot of the block, do the core work, or like Tristan Trombley. He's been he's a real fireball and a real effort guy. Asher Garnick, he's been a 3-year starter at left tackle. He's a big kid, 6'4", 295. They both dealt with some little bit of, not injuries, but injuries for Asher. He's come back from a surgery from the off season, and then we've got a couple juniors that are really doing a great job inside. Abel Garcia and Rolando Cedillo. They work really hard in the off season, really strong kids. So those are a couple of kids inside. Then also like Nathan Niebla is another one, just a great hardworking kid that they're ready when called upon, and they've been moved around, some of them different positions. Not everybody gets to get the glory every week, and so we've got a bunch of others, like Jackson Larson on the outside, and then another junior, Shea Stevenson, is he's a real tough football player, hard-nosed. So a lot of great examples for the younger kids to follow.
Talk about what makes this offense click. What makes Royal offense so powerful?
Well, I think right now in the last 2 years, I guess, I just, you have short memory, but just the versatility of it, just being able to run the ball, pass the ball, different kids contributing, not having a star. I mean, he'll have a lot of games where doesn't have a lot in the stat column, either didn't play much. But Lance seems to shine in big moments, but we've got a lot of other kids that we just don't have to go to one guy. And I think that's an advantage when later the season goes. It can be anyway, where we're pretty diversified with the guys we got, the options.
And you take a look at your guys' game last week. Yes, the score was high, but 3 or 4 of those were defensive touchdowns. So you guys also have an explosive defense. Yeah,
actually, we had 4 or 6 picks. We had 5, but Lance decided to get called for a blindside block. We'd had 5, which I didn't even realize it until after the game. I just knew we were, it was a lopsided deal. We've had a couple of those where we found numerous different ways to score, just about every way possible, which is fun for the kids. And there's always, looking for opportunity on special teams and on defense to get the ball and go. But I think the other part that I probably missed is I think our strength on the interior line on offense and defense has helped us. Obviously, if you're going to go very far, you better have a pretty good.
What's it going to take to get through that? Because it's one thing to be good on paper, to be, but
yeah.
What's it going to take to actually get the job done in your eyes?
Yeah, I think just that consistency, to stay sharp, even when 2 weeks ago, our starting offense had 3 offensive plays before we had to pull them. Last week they had 7. The week before that they had 9. So we're not getting a lot of offensive opportunities, and we're scoring 70-some points with other kids just later in the game. And that's not the point. We're trying to give kids opportunities to play. But they are varsity football games. We'd like to have varsity competition to play, and we will get that. We're not worried about that. So it's our job as coaches to keep them sharp and make sure they're ready to go. In the past, that hasn't hurt us, but this has been a kind of almost more unique season in that regard, where a lot of games have gotten out of hand pretty early. And another kid too that we're kind of missing that he hasn't had many opportunities and won't have probably is Ethan Ellis. He's one of our best players. He was a running back in the last few games last year. Finally got healthy. We got him for a game and a half this year, but we'll do. He's kind of an inspiration for us. So
it takes a whole locker room.
Yeah.
And you're in your 26th year. You're sitting at 298 wins. Not to count the chickens before they're hatched, but 2 wins away from 300. You'd only be the 4th coach to do that. How do you view those numbers in your tenure here at Royal?
I view them as really the players' numbers. I mean, and a collective staff. So yeah, right now we've got a great group of coaches, and obviously been blessed with plenty of ability out on the field to get it done. We're just supposed to get them in the right place, and I mean that's what my job is, and to make them feel like they're empowered to play at their best. But it's a community effort. It's a collective team effort. So it's awesome and it's an honor. But yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the next game as far as our team.
I was going to ask one question. I knew we would quickly get off that subject, but I had to ask. And then you did talk about that it's a win for the community, and you hear it talking to the kids. You see it even at the field, at the David Nielsen Memorial Field, all the community banners that people support. They come out to games. And something I asked Jeff Morrow a couple years ago when I'm like, tell me about Royal, it wasn't, they have one of the best small school football programs in the nation, but it was that they support their student athletes, even their other sports, that, okay, we don't have this, we'll build a golf course. And
right.
I feel like the whole community does a great job supporting the football team, but also athletics in general. So what do you have to say just about the community here in Royal that supports this type of program?
Yeah, I think that's the key to it, really. One of the big keys is us as coaches and a community, but it starts with the coaches supporting each other. We're looking out here at the soccer girls and having a couple of big matches this week, and we'll be letting the kids support them and having the kids support them. And then the volleyball team had a pretty successful weekend, and we follow each other and support. And I think our boys support the other programs and play multiple different sports. As long as we do that, we'll be successful. If we don't and we start going our separate ways, then that's where it's going to tear us apart, because I don't think you can tear us apart from outside, but only from within. And I think that's a general case in a lot of communities, but that's a lot more delicate fiber than people realize. Is there obviously sometimes gets to be jealousies and different things, but right now and where it's been is a lot of support, and we'll work really hard to maintain that, and not just single-handedly for any one sport, whether it be football or soccer or anything else, but for each other.
With Royal football, you guys are a small school, but you're starting to see the Royal players at the next level, at Eastern, at Central Washington. Do you follow that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you keep in touch with those kids. And we've had a couple kids out there. We don't have a lot, but we usually have a couple out playing somewhere. And now we've got one coming back from Mission that went to Central, which is kind of new territory for us in some regard. But I'm excited that he did that, and he's having a good experience. And then that's Caleb Christensen. Yeah. And then Avery Ellis is out at Eastern right now. But yeah, it's exciting to watch those guys move on. But whether they do that or choose something else, we support them.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Caleb Christensen as the backup quarterback for Central and even getting some playing time. So it's just kind of exciting to I guess, see a player I covered in high school and watch them. I guess that's indicative to me that I'm getting older.
There you go.
But with that being said, you guys are a 1A school. How do you prepare these guys that they have played 4A schools before, that they are playing at Division I, Division II football, that it's not just small school, but you're really preparing them for the next level, or life in general? Doesn't really matter where you're from.
Well, that's our goal, to obviously make the big time where you're at, like the Frosty Westering of the worlds. But we want to prepare the kids for whatever they're going to face. And I think you can do that really well at a small rural school. It's sometimes hard to bring a city kid out of the city, and not that a lot of these guys want to go to the big city, but some of them will. We want to prepare them for life, and that's a huge goal as a coach, is to get them. We talk about a lot of different things, and that's the great thing of coaching, is getting those relationships and keeping them. That's probably the best part.
And for the second year now, speaking of the city, the state championship game is at Husky Stadium. What did you think playing there? Does it make a difference? Is it special for the kids?
I enjoyed going to the Tacoma Dome and knowing what the temperature would be, what the wind would be, which is 0, that we'd throw the ball around. But of the options, the Husky Stadium was a big deal. Our kids loved it. The locker room itself is amazing. They treated us great. So options of where we had been. When you're playing in the game, we could play about anywhere, and it'd be great, because it's that ability to play to be the best in your division or whatever you can play for. And so, but just having that extra aura out there and Husky Stadium, it was a big deal. It made it more special. And I think having all the games there brought all the better stuff out of the WIAA. In terms of trying to create a really excellent atmosphere for the kids.
Best of luck to the Royal Knights, and best of luck to all our area schools in action this weekend in state football playoffs. Well, that wraps up this week's show of the Sports Council. Thank you for joining me on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. A reminder, the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, 11:30 a.m. on Thursdays. But you can listen to the show not just over the airwaves at 11:30 on Thursdays, but also on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council. And it's also also available via YouTube. So lots of ways to listen to the Sports Council and support our local sports community. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports programming.